Hello, I'm Roger Strom. I'd like to talk to you today about mid-mounted mowers for the Series 200 tractors. As you know, Case IH offers a line of compact tractors ranging from horsepowers of 18 at the Model 235 through the Model 275 at 31 horsepower. There are also a number of implements available for these tractors, of which a customer can choose front, mid, or rear 3-point hitch mounted mowers. I'd like to talk today about mid-mounted mowers. There are a certain number of adjustments that's necessary for each mower depending upon which tractor the mower is mounted on. In the case of the 235, which comes also in a hydrostatic drive transmission, certain adjustments are necessary to accommodate the transmission housing. These are adjustments that you should be aware of for improved mower performance, mower life, and customer satisfaction. But first and foremost, before you sell your tractor to your customer, you should find out what's most important to that customer. Is it high float, low profile tires, or is it mowers that cut with high clearance? If your customer chooses low profile tires, as we have here, then your customer's mower height will be limited for both floatability and height adjustment. If your customer is cutting in rough terrain where the mower needs to have more float and in some instances be adjusted with a higher cutting height, then higher profile tires are recommended. All mid-mounted mowers are of the free floating lift bar design. All mower decks ride on the gauge wheels to follow the ground contour. All mower decks must have a free floating action in order to eliminate excessive wear in the lift bar assembly. As you can see, we have removed the rear wheel of this 235 tractor to better show the lifting apparatus of the mower deck and the 3-point hitch. As we have said earlier, all mid-mounted mowers must run on the gauge wheels for free floating action to follow the ground contour. As you can see, by lifting the mower deck, the floating action is through this elongated hole on this lifting bar. Let's lower the 3-point hitch and see what happens. As the hitch is lowering, you can see the rotating pivot bracket becoming in line with the lifting link of the mower deck. Let's see now how much float our mower deck has. There is no flotation in that mower deck. And the reason there is no flotation in the mower deck is that the 3-point hitch arms have extended downward too far over center, rotating this pivot bracket in line with the lift link, locking out the flotation. In this condition, there is excessive wear under the lift bar and under the underside of the bracket. To remedy that situation, you must install a hitch-arm down-stop bracket. We have raised our 3-point hitch lift arms and have installed a lift arm downstop. The lift arm downstop is used only on the 235 tractor. Let's lower the hitch and see how much flotation our mower has now. The mower deck now has flotation by installing the lift arm downstop on the 3-point hitch, keeping the hitch arms from coming down too far. It is necessary to operate this mower in a free floating position. If you do not do this, you will have front caster wear and gauge wheel damage. You will bend the lift straps and have excessive wear on the lift bar assembly due to the mower deck having to carry the weight of the tractor. If your mower shows excessive wear in this area, a field service bracket is available for repair. 1989 production has this bracket as standard equipment as shown. Another area of concern is to make sure that the three-point hitch lift arms cancel out the same time that the mower deck contacts the upstops. It should be pointed out that each mower deck has different upstop adjustments depending upon the mower deck, the tractor, and the tractor's tire size the mower is used upon. For your reference, in the operator's manual is listed all these adjustments. It is more important for the three-point hitch to cancel out than it is for the mower deck to be firmly against the upstops, both in the front and the rear of the tractor. If the three-point hitch doesn't cancel out, it continually puts pressure pulling, lifting the mower deck, bending the bar, and continues to keep the tractor on high pressure. Now let's take a look at how to make those adjustments. First, raise the mower against the upstops and block it into position on both sides. Now we will lower the hitch to take pressure off of the eyebolts and remove the eyebolts from the hitch pin. We will now start the tractor and raise the hitch until it cancels. Final adjustment will be made by turning the eyebolt rods to make sure the hole in the eyebolt fits easily over the hitch pin. Now, with the adjustments made, the blocks removed, and the mower lowered, we need to make sure that we have flotation. We also need to start the tractor, raising the mower deck to make sure the three-point hitch cancels and the mower stops at or near the upstop position. In summary, all mid-mounted mowers must operate in the free float position. It's necessary for these mowers to float in order to prevent bending of the lift strap, bending of the lift bar, excessive wear in the bracket, and gauge wheel damage. Now let's talk about mid-shaft mowers. We have mounted the mid-shaft drive mower on the 245 tractor. I would like to point out that during this presentation we do not have time to mount all the different mowers on all the different tractors. But basically all mid-mounted mowers operate under the same principle. All mower decks must have flotation. The three-point hitch must raise and cancel at the same time the mower deck comes up near the upstop position. If this does not happen and the three-point hitch continues to apply pressure, it pulls on the lift bar, bending the lift bar. Bending the lift bar causes wear on the bracket and causes a binding action restricting the mower's flotation. Now let's remove this rear wheel to better see how this mower lift system works. One of the first things we need to check is to make sure that the three-point hitch raises and cancels without any hydraulic pressure in the system. We need to do this to establish a base. We have plugged in a gauge into the right-hand side of the tractor's rockshaft feed port. We do this procedure with the mower deck lift cables unhooked. Now let's start the tractor and check our pressure. The three-point hitch operates properly. It raises and cancels, and there is no hydraulic pressure in the system. Now this establishes our base. The next step in mounting the mower is to lower the hitch, attach the mower cables, raise the hitch, and make sure it cancels at the same time the mower contacts the upstops. When hooking up the mower cables, make sure the pulley turns freely. Let's raise the mower and see if it comes to the upstops and the hitch raises and cancels. This check indicates the hitch did not cancel and remained on high pressure. It's necessary and very important that this hitch does not operate on high pressure. Otherwise, lifting bars will bend, cables will break, the linkage will bind and restrict the flotation, and the hydraulic pump will always be on demand and shorten its life. Now let's look at how to make those additional adjustments so that the three-point hitch will cancel. With the mower deck lowered, the adjustment is made by removing the mower cable and turning the bracket on the Eyebolt a few turns, replacing the bracket back on the pin to make sure that the hitch travels further and cancels. It is more important on all Series 200 tractors that the three-point hitch cancels than it is for the mower deck to come up firm against the upstops. A certain amount of trial and error is necessary in making this adjustment. Now let's start the tractor and see how this adjustment works. The adjustment was a good one. The mower deck raised to the upstop position, the three-point hitch raised and canceled within the operating range. Depending upon which mower the tractor is used on, the operating range will vary, but in no case should the operating range exceed 1,000 psi. This pretty well takes care of mounting the mower and making sure the hitch cancels, but now let's look at another area to be aware of when setting up this mower. As we have discussed, flotation is very important to the mowing operation. Unlike the 235 tractor with the Eyebolt and the rotating pivot bracket, cables cannot restrict the flotation. However, you should make sure that the Mid-PTO shaft telescopes. Let's take a closer look at this PTO shaft. We have removed the Mid-PTO shaft to look at it more closely. The Mid-PTO shaft must be free to telescope easily in order to prevent any binding when raising the mower, eliminating flotation. Before you install the Mid-PTO shaft on the tractor, you should take it apart and clean the splines, preferably with a wire brush. You should also take note that there are two crimp splines on this shaft used for timing purposes that mate into a blank spline on the tube. If you should, while cleaning, think that these crimp splines are burrs and remove those burrs, you will have any one of 15 positions available when reassembling the spline to the shaft and most likely have it out of time. Therefore, a good clue in reassembling the shaft to the tube is to have the grease zerks on the yokes in line, which also correspond to the crimp spline and to the blank spine, and assist in easily sliding the two sections together. If this shaft should be bent or restricted in any fashion, it will restrict the flotation of the mower. Remember, if the two zerks on the yokes are not aligned or in time, shaft vibration will develop. The zerk on the shaft is the lubricating zerk that we lubricate the spline after it's been assembled. Now let's reinstall this on the tractor. We have reinstalled the Mid-PTO shaft and have replaced the wheel, and we're about ready to go to the field. To review, The 3-point hitch raises and cancels. The mower deck raises to the upstop position without bending the bar. As we have discussed earlier, bending the bar causes excessive wear on the bracket and bends the lift strap, restricting flotation. Restricting flotation causes damage to the caster and the gauge wheel. If you should have excessive wear on the bracket, there is a repair service part available for the 60 and 61-inch mowers, and it will become standard equipment on the 1989 production. Now let's review the changes in the 61 MB Mule Drive and the improvements in the caster wheel. Here we have the rear mule drive assembly for the 61 MB mower. The tractor's rear PTO operates in this area, and the mower deck is located up front. Since this is a belt drive unit and all belts have a tendency to stretch during the first initial hours of operation, this stretching action has a tendency to allow the pulleys to contact the frame, which requires frequent adjustment. To reduce the frequency of adjustment, the company has obtained a new belt which is approximately 2 inches shorter and will be released in the future in a service bulletin. This shorter belt will allow the pulleys to ride higher and require less frequent adjustment. It should be pointed out that any time you put a new belt on a mower, that you should check and make sure that all the pulleys are working in good condition. If your belt strikes the pan, there is additional adjustment available by loosening the bolts in this area on all 4 corners, pushing the pan down as far as possible, retightening all the bolts. This will give additional clearance between the pan and the belt. Now let's look at the updates of our caster wheels. Here we have the caster wheels for the 60 and the 61-inch mowers. This was the original wheel. It was manufactured as a one-piece unit with the rubber tire pre-stretched and sort of snapped over the rim. As you can see, the rim is well down into the tire sidewall, and we had some problem with the tires rolling off of the rim. The current wheel is manufactured in 2 pieces. This side of the hub and the rim is welded together. The tire is then placed over that assembly, and this side of the hub and the rim is then welded into place. We're doing this without stretching the tire, and as you can see, the rim is well up on the sidewall of the tire to eliminate any roll-off. This is our caster wheels assemblies. The 1988 production had the narrower saddle. It had the sharp angle and a 3/4 inch shaft. And the head of the bolt is exposed with the threaded portion of the bolt into the saddle. It was thought that the thread portion into the saddle would give it added strength, especially with the lock nut. But we have found out that the undercutting of the bolt had a tendency to weaken the bolt. The 1989 production is this assembly. As you can see, the saddle is almost twice as wide. The abrupt angle is now curved, and the shaft is 1 inch. Also, the axle bolt is having its head on the saddle side with the nut on the exposed side. We had talked previously about flotation, the necessity of it. What happened with the 1988 production was, without the flotation necessary, the gauge wheel and the caster wheel would ride on the ground, and especially the caster wheel would catch right in the sharp angled area and bend and sometimes break. Also, the 3/4 shaft would also bend at this area where it enters into the saddle. It was brought to our attention that it would be a good idea, perhaps with the 89 production, that if we used a double saddle, that if we would carry this metal work over on this side of the wheel as well. However, our designers tell us that we should leave one side of this wheel open to allow the grass clippings to properly discharge. Without properly discharging the grass clippings, the clippings would collect in the bracket and bunch up and fall onto the ground, leaving a much less than desirable appearance. With what we've learned today about the importance of mower deck flotation through proper adjustment and the improved 1989 caster wheel assembly, you will have a long life caster wheel. We should make another comment about mid-shaft, mid-mounted mowers. All of these mowers are Category 3 allied equipment. What this means is the performance, the parts, and the warranty is provided by the manufacturer, Haven Manufacturing, Racine, Wisconsin. All of these mowers are identified with a serial number plate on the mower deck. All other mowers are Category 1, and this means that all performance, parts, and warranty is provided through the JI Case Company, and all of those mower decks also have a serial number plate. We have mounted the 60 MB and the 61 MS mower, and the same basic mounting principles apply to all the other mid-mounted mowers when mounting them on 200 series tractors. In a quick review, when mounting or servicing the mowers, make sure that the hitch cancels, the mower lift is not binding, and you have flotation in the mower deck. You should also review your operator's manual and setup instructions in addition to the information you've learned today on this video. If you should require additional information or wish to make a product report, contact your territory service manager or your group office. Thank you for your time and good mowing.